Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining the Center for Disability Empowerment's Emergency Readiness Series. My name is Marley Sade, and I am your project manager. I am a manual wheelchair user with brown hair and brown eyes, and I'm wearing a copper-colored dress with a black sweater. Joining us today is Lorena Gerlach from the Red Cross team. Good morning, Lorena. How are you doing today?
Good morning. I'm excited to be here with you all.
We're excited to have you. And so before we get started, do you mind telling us a little bit about your background?
Absolutely. I have been a Red Cross volunteer since 2013. I am a trained government liaison, which means I have been deployed 3 times, once in Dallas for Ebola, Dallas weather, and Ohio flooding. I am also on the task force for the Franklin County Emergency Operations for the COVID-19 response.
Wow, that's amazing. So with that, I guess we can get started with the presentation.
Absolutely.
All right, and I'm gonna turn off my camera for the moment.
Okay. So, what is preparedness essentials? Well, I'm so happy to be here to talk to you about that. I do have some experience with it. I grew up in California, Southern California, where we experienced earthquakes. I'm actually in California today. We're helping to relocate my 91-year-old mother who has ambulatory issues and taking her to live in Ohio with us. So being in California with earthquakes, the one thing you need to be aware of is they could strike at any time and you may be on your own for a bit. So you need to have a plan. I spent the next 21 years in Texas and became very familiar with tornadoes. So you learn to have a tornado plan. In my last 5 years in Ohio, I've learned that, well, the winter season may be an issue and we're going to have a winter storm plan. So I'm going to talk to you about plans and what we need to do. So the fact is that disasters happen. They happen often. They happen with little or no warning. They happen anywhere and at any time. Every year, communities across the United States face disasters. There can be hurricanes, tornadoes, floods, winter storms, some of which I've mentioned. Wildfires burn thousands of square miles, and home fires impact thousands of households. So what type of hazards do we face? If you like, you can put answer in the chat. What do you think we face in Ohio? And ladies, I'll need your assistance. I cannot see the chat while I'm sharing my screen.
Fire, we have
Yes.
tornadoes, floods, tornadoes, winter storms, fire.
Well, how about that? You're absolutely correct. We can also have extreme heat. It's rare out here, for Ohio, but we can run into that. We have thunderstorms also. 2 weeks ago, I know my patio furniture almost took off my back porch from the winds and the storms that we're going through. So in Ohio, we do have quite a few hazards that we must be prepared for. So in any of these disasters that we've talked about, a lot of people assume that someone else will be there to help. However, resources just aren't there to support everyone immediately. First responders, disaster organizations like the Red Cross, government agencies, and hospital emergency rooms do their best. But on average, these groups are staffed and prepared for normal day-to-day operations, and resources may be limited during a disaster. The truth is, we will have to depend on ourselves first. Why? Well, because roads may be impassable, utilities may be unavailable, hospitals and first responders could be overwhelmed, and banks, grocery stores, gas stations, pharmacies, schools, and workplaces may be closed for days. You may also need to help others, such as members of your household, neighbors, or those who have functional or access needs. So don't count on receiving help right away. You need to prepare. All of us can and should be prepared to help ourselves and our households. Will preparation be perfect? No, it won't. I mentioned earthquakes earlier on. I was in California for the 1994 Northridge earthquake, and our son was 6 weeks old. We had cat food, we had a dog food, pet food, we had food for us, water for us. We didn't have any baby supplies because he was so new. We hadn't factored him into our emergency plan yet. So we were left scrambling for emergency supplies in an earthquake where almost everything was shut down. So lessons learned. We remembered him well afterwards. Let's see. Will preparation make things quick, easy, or painless? Not always. But planning and preparation will help you be safe and to recover quickly. What do you think it means to be prepared? And you can put your answer in the chat window. Okay, do we have any responses in the chat?
Yes, having a plan and to have an idea of what to do if this or that were to happen.
Exactly. So when we're prepared, we can take proactive actions to be safe. We can react in the right ways. We can adapt to tough challenges, and we can recover quickly from difficulties. So what does it take to be prepared? To be prepared? To be Red Cross ready, you need to do 3 things. 1, you need to get a kit. Your kit should contain the supplies you will need at home or can easily carry with you if you have to evacuate. You need to make a plan. You should identify the steps you will take to respond to specific disasters. For each disaster, decide on who in your household will do what, where you will go, and how you will communicate with one another. Be informed. Finally, it is important that you are informed. Learn now how you will get information if a disaster occurs and what resources are available in your community. This will allow you to quickly respond to help yourself, your household, and your community. Now let's look at each of these in a bit more detail. If a disaster strikes in your community, you might not have access to food, water, electricity, a medical facility, or even a drugstore. Preparing a disaster kit for your household is an important step to keep everyone safe and healthy during a disaster. Consider assembling 2 kits of supplies. In one kit, put everything you will need to stay at home for at least 3 days. As you are able, work together to gather enough supplies in this kit to last for 2 weeks. The other kit, often called a go bag, should be lightweight, smaller version that you can take with you if you have to leave your home quickly. It should contain everything that you would need to be on your own for 3 days. Based on the needs of the members of your household, this could be one kit for the entire household or separate kits for each member. Customize the kits to meet everyone's personal needs and disasters that are common to your area. To build your kit, think about what you use on a daily basis and what you might do if these resources were limited or not available. Start with the basics: food, water, clean air, and any life-sustaining items members of your household need to maintain health, safety, and independence. Basic supplies include non-perishable, easy-to-prepare food items, a manual can opener, and water. Remember, you may be without electricity and you may only have the amount of water that you have stored. So a question for you: how much water do you think you need to store? You should have at least 1 gallon per person per day, half for drinking and half for sanitation. You may need more than this depending on the specific needs of those in your household and the environment in which you live. You will also want a flashlight and a battery-powered or hand crank radio. If possible, get the weather radio so that you can receive important weather statements. You may also sign up in advance to receive emergency notifications from your local emergency services. And it doesn't hurt to pack some extra batteries. You're going to want a first aid kit, a 7-day supply of medications and medical items, a copy of prescriptions, dosage, and treatment information, a battery backup power for power-dependent mobility devices like oxygen and other assistive technology needs. Talk with your doctor and pharmacist about other actions you can take. A multi-purpose tool is a great item to have in your kit. Sanitation and personal hygiene items. Copies of personal documents such as medication list and important medical information, proof of address, deed lease to your home, passports, birth certificates, and insurance policies. Current digital photos of loved ones, remember to update these every 6 months, especially for children. That way, if you'll always have a photo should you need one. A cell phone and a charger. I actually just recently bought a solar charger for my phone. So I don't, if the electricity goes out, I have that to use.
They will actually be receiving a solar charger, part of the free supplies.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
That's great to use. Household member and emergency contact information, extra cash, at least one emergency blanket, and maps of your area. I know I just covered a lot. Don't be overwhelmed. This is part of building your kit, creating your plan, and we do have a list that is going to be emailed to you to help you put your plan together. Don't forget to make a kit for your pets or service animals. Be sure to include food, water, identification tags, and other necessary supplies. So no matter what's in your kit, it's important that everything works when disaster strikes. So you're going to have to check the expiration dates on the foods, go through the water, batteries, medicines, at least twice a year. Replace anything that has expired or is near expiration. Keep it fresh. We've talked about essentials for your kit. Now we need to talk about how you might need to customize your kit based on the specific needs of your household and the types of disasters that are possible in this area. For example, if there are weather radios with text display and a flashing alert so that you can stay informed even if you have difficulty hearing. What other things might you want to add to based on the specific needs of your household? Do you have an idea?
Gas shutoff tool.
Oh, that's a great one, especially in earthquake country. We use that one quite a bit. That's
Water purification tablets.
that's another great one. Yes. During the earthquake, the Northridge earthquake in 1994, we lost water for a week. So that would have been a great tool to have. So those are some great responses. You always want to be able to store what you need in your kit. So collect the following items as appropriate from around your home as soon as you become aware of the potential disaster or if you need to evacuate. So, you might need medical supplies such as syringes, glucometers, diabetic testing strips, and catheters. You may need to, if you undergo routine treatments or receive regular services, talk with your service provider about their disaster plan. You want to think about assistive or adaptive devices, including supplies for service animals. Communication boards or tables could be available. Baby supplies like bottles, formula, baby food, and diapers. And pet supplies such as a collar, leash, ID, food bowls, and a pet carrier. Having an extra set of vehicle keys and house keys is always a good thing. So additional things you might want to put in your kits: a whistle, matches, rain gear, towels, work gloves, duct tape, scissors, household bleach. These additional items may provide protection from the elements and help with recovery. So don't forget that when a disaster occurs, you may not be home. You may need to have a kit for your work and for your vehicle. Kits for work should be in one container, such as a backpack or bag. Be ready to grab and go in case you are evacuated. Have some food and water in the kit. Also, be sure to have comfortable walking shoes at your workplace in case an evacuation requires walking long distances. A kit for your vehicle is important in the event you are ever stranded. This kit should contain food, water, first aid supplies, flares, jumper cables, and seasonal supplies such as blankets, extra clothing for the winter months. We're going to want you to make a plan. Knowing the hazards for your area, you can now think about the plan that you need to make. Different hazards require for you to take different actions. For instance, during a tornado, you need to move to a basement, storm cellar, or an interior room on the lowest floor with no windows. For a home fire, everyone needs to evacuate immediately and meet at their designated safe meeting place. And we'll get into more of that details later. Talk with everyone in your household about how to prepare for and respond to the hazards that are most likely to happen where you live, learn, work, and play. Identify responsibilities for each member of your household and plan to work together as a team. If a household member is in the military or has extended business travel on a regular basis, plan on how you will respond if they are away. Individuals with access and functional needs will need to prepare a bit differently. Create a personal support network that can help you plan and provide assistance if disaster happens. Remember not to depend on just one person. Include a minimum of 3 people in your network. Complete a personal assessment of functional abilities and possible needs during and after a disaster situation. Make sure you practice your disaster plans with your personal support network at least twice a year. Don't forget to think about what you could do with your pets. Most American Red Cross shelters cannot accept pets because of health and safety concerns and other considerations. However, service animals are allowed in Red Cross shelters. Contact your local emergency management office for a list of pet-friendly shelters. Your plan should include key details. Identify 2 ways to evacuate from every room in your home, your neighborhood, or your town, depending on how big the disaster is. You're going to want to consider choosing 2 places to meet, one right outside your home in case of a sudden emergency such as a fire, and another one outside your neighborhood in case you cannot return home or are asked to evacuate. Don't forget to consider any transportation challenges that might be encountered by individuals who use mobility assistive equipment or those who don't have access to a vehicle. An important part of your disaster plan is how you will communicate, especially if you or members are not with members of your household or not all together when the disaster hits. Make sure each member of your household has contact details that everyone knows what the plan is. If you're without power for an extended time or have to evacuate, it's going to be important to have a place to stay. It's a good idea to find a place to stay if you have to leave because of something like a home fire and a tornado or a flood, know in advance where you think you might go. If authorities encourage you to shelter in place, ensure that all household members are aware of any actions they must take and where in the home they should go. Since communication is such an important part of your plan, we should talk about this a little bit more. We're going to be sending you an emergency contact card for you to fill out because sometimes in emergencies we lose electricity and I haven't had to remember a cell phone number in years. So I write my important numbers down. So if we have to, I know who to contact, or if I'm incapacitated, my emergency contact can be contacted for me. We talked a little bit about being informed. Now we're going to talk about the hazards and what hazards you should prepare for, but it's an ongoing process. You need to know how your community warns you of a coming disaster. Some communities have outdoor sirens, others depend on media and smartphones. So understand how you're going to be contacted. Use a weather radio or listen to a local radio station or news station for information. Understand the difference between a watch and a warning and how to respond to each. A watch means there's a potential for that type of event. A warning means it is imminent or it's already happening. Learn about an area before you travel there. Know what risks they face and how to protect yourself. And you can download the Red Cross Emergency app. We're going to be sending you different information through the email on how to do this. It's a free application and it lets you monitor 35 different severe weather and emergency alerts. We have learned today how to prepare for a disaster. Now we have to recognize that we have to be ready for the aftermath of a disaster should one occur. Disasters can be stressful. You may be coping with stress and feelings. You have to be aware of feelings that can come with disasters. You may feel physically and mentally drained. You may have difficulty making decisions or focusing. You may become easily frustrated. You may find yourself arguing with friends and family. You may feel sad, numb, lonely, worried. You may experience changes in the appetite or sleep patterns. All this is normal. It's part of the process and you can get help for it. Be sure you and your loved ones are safe. This is what's important. Eat healthy foods and drink plenty of water. Get rest. Stay connected with family and friends. Be patient with yourself and those around you. It's okay not to be perfect right now. Set priorities and break down tasks into small ones. Gather information about help and resources, and above all, stay positive and help others. If the stress continues or worsens, or if you or someone in your family is feeling life isn't worth living, please seek immediate help. Get help when you need it. Children have a tough time coping, especially if they are evacuated, injured, see hurt or dying people, or experience death or injury of a relative, pet, or friend. This may be worse if they have experienced disasters or other traumatic events in the past. So we need to help them by remembering that how we adults react and can affect how a child reacts. For example, children sense the confidence we feel that comes from being prepared. So before disaster, help build confidence by including children in making the household disaster plan. Encourage your children to talk, listen to them, acknowledge their fears, and answer questions as simply as possible. So we talked about tools. We talked about the emergency contact card. We talked about the app. We also have a first aid app that you can use for your mobile device. Just like your plan, practice using the Safe and Well website for Red Cross. We'll be sending you that link in the email as well. Once registered, you have the option of updating your Facebook and Twitter feeds. The apps and the Safe and Well websites are available in Spanish. Remember, you can't count on technology alone. Phones break and lose their charge, cell coverage goes out, phone lines become overwhelmed. Be sure to think about how you will communicate if these things become unavailable. Please consider taking a Red Cross first aid class or becoming a Red Cross volunteer. Together, we can help a community prepare for the disaster. So now we're going to transition to home fires. I am on the Sound the Alarm team, and up until March of this year, we were going into homes with our local fire departments and installing smoke alarms because it is so important to have a functional smoke alarm. But being Red Cross Ready goes beyond just that. Let's look at some of the major causes of home fires and home fire fatalities. Cooking equipment is the leading cause of home fires and home fire related injuries, and it accounts for 19% of home fire fatalities. Malfunctioning and improper use of heating, electrical, lighting equipment together account for 35% of home fire fatalities. How can you reduce the risk of home fires in your home?
Excuse me, have a fire alarm?
Beautiful. And it's not just having one, it's making sure you're checking it twice a year for the batteries. And if it's more than 7 years old, you probably want a new one installed. So let's talk about how we're going to reduce fire risk in our home. Unattended cooking is responsible for 1/3 of reported home cooking fires. Always stay in the kitchen when something is cooking. Remember to keep an eye on what you fry. Install and learn how to use a fire extinguisher. You can contact your local fire department for training. More than half the deaths from home heating fires are caused by heating equipment that is too close to things that burn. Especially since we're getting close to these winter months, make sure that anything that could catch fire, such as furniture, curtains, dish towels, or clothing, is at least 3 feet away from any heat source. 3 feet away, that's our rule. Always plug appliances directly into wall outlets. Avoid extension cords. Extension cords are intended for temporary use. Avoid overloading outlets or extension cords. Don't plug multiple power strips or extension cords with several items attached into the same outlet. Make sure the electrical cords aren't damaged, running under carpets, attached by nails, or in high traffic areas. So smoking's dangerous. I think at this point we all know that. But failing to properly extinguish smoking materials, including cigarettes, pipes, and cigars, is the leading cause of residential fire deaths in the United States. If you or anyone in your home smokes, including guests, remember to smoke outside. And if you do smoke indoors, never smoke in bed, when drowsy, or if anyone is using an oxygen tank. Use sturdy ashtrays to put out the butts. Keep matches and lighters out of children's reach. If you vape, never leave it charging overnight or unattended, and always use the charger that it came with. Replace batteries that are wet and damaged. Now that we've talked about safety tips for reducing the risk of home fires, I want to remind you about the importance of working smoke alarms. So that was a great call out earlier. Did you know that the research conducted by the National Fire Protection Association shows that 3 out of every 5 home fire deaths happen when the homes have either no smoke alarms or non-working smoke alarms? There are some very important things to remember when it comes to smoke alarms. You need to install them on every level of your home, inside bedrooms, and outside sleeping areas. It's also highly recommended that they be interconnected. This way, when one alarm sounds, they all sound. Test each alarm monthly by using its test button. Replace the batteries at least once a year for those alarms requiring battery replacement. Replace the smoke alarm itself every 10 years. All smoke alarms, and this includes hardwired alarms. Never disable a smoke alarm. Use the silence or hush feature if you're getting a nuisance alarm. If you experience frequent false alarms or nuisance alarms, consider getting a new alarm installed. If you have older individuals or those who are deaf or hard of hearing, you can get an alarm, an auditory smoke alarm. Devices are available to overcome the hearing challenges, and can use a low-pitched sound, vibrations under your pillow and mattress, or strobe lights. And we're sending you some information regarding that in the email. So if we do have a fire, we want you to get out of the house. You need to get out and get out quickly. Leave everything behind, get out as quickly as you can, and never go back into a burning building. If smoke or fire blocks one of your ways out, use another way out. If you must go through the smoke, get low and go under the smoke to escape. Everyone in your household should have a plan to meet at a designated safe place, and call 911 from a safe place outside your home. We're going to talk more about how to plan your escape route. Each room should have 2 exits, such as a door and a window. Make sure that windows and doors can open easily for quick escape. It's also important to keep escape routes free of clutter and tripping hazards. As the diagram on the slide here shows, it's important that each room have 2 ways out. The first escape path out of each room is through the door and then out of the house. The second escape plan is through the nearest window in each room. We are including a diagram that's going to be emailed to you, but we are also including a home escape planning for individuals with special needs, to take that into consideration. Knowing how to quickly get out of your home is only one part of the escape plan. A home fire is very confusing and may require members to use different escape routes. This is why you need a specific safe meeting place where everyone will meet in the event of a home fire. Identify a location that is a safe distance from your home in a specific and fixed location. Make sure it is in front of your home so that you can easily meet firefighters and let them know that everyone is safe and accounted for. And remember, always call 911 from a safe place outside your home. It's vital that your escape plan works for everyone in your household. Make arrangements for infants, children, older adults, and individuals with access or functional needs who may need assistance to escape during a home fire. Make sure that someone in the household is assigned to each person who may require assistance, and be sure to identify a backup person in case the primary person is not home during the fire. So in the example in the slide here, the family has a 2-year-old son who will need help to evacuate. Mom is the primary person, and dad will help if mom is away. So remember, smoke alarms may not always wake up children in the event of a home fire. Once your plan is complete, written down, and shared with all household members, it should be practiced at least twice a year. If you have someone with access or functional needs, you should have a personal support network to assist during an emergency. Be sure to include them in your practice drills. Practice makes sure the plan will actually work for everyone and as expected. If not, you can make the necessary adjustments and practice again. Do you know that children under 5 are twice as likely as other people to die in a home fire? Children need to be confident in their ability to prepare for and react to a home fire. You can ensure this when you teach them about the dangers of the fire and make sure they understand that matches and lighters are not toys. Teach them what smoke alarms sound like and how to react when the smoke alarm goes off. Make sure your child knows and practices at least 2 ways to escape from every room and to meet at your designated safe meeting place. Emphasize the get out, stay out rule. If you have escape ladders, make sure they are stored near windows and teach everyone how to use them. If you have bars on windows or doors, make sure they practice how to release them. And make sure everyone knows how to call 911 and understand that the call should be made from a safe place outside the home. There are a few more things that are important when you have to escape from a home fire, particularly if you're in a room behind closed doors. Look for smoke coming through cracks around the door. Before opening your door, feel the door with the back of your hand. If it's hot, leave the door closed and use your second way out. At last resort, if you are unable to evacuate, seal your door by placing a cloth around any cracks or openings to keep the smoke out. Block all the air vents and call 911. Tell them where you are and then signal for help at the window with a light-colored cloth or a flashlight. And remember to practice this with everyone in your household. So you've gotten a lot of information. So let's review what you can do to keep the members of your household safe with a few easy steps. Make a home fire safety escape plan. Test your smoke alarms monthly. Be sure to practice your home fire escape plan at least twice a year with your entire household. So now we're going to talk about winter storms. We're on the cusp of winter. It's starting to feel definitely like fall around Ohio after our long summer. So we want to be prepared for what's to come. So winter storms are weather events that can bring snow, sleet, and freezing rain. They can affect communities throughout the United States and its territories. Even tropical places in southern cities such as Atlanta and Dallas have been paralyzed by snow and ice. I actually lived in Dallas during the Super Bowl Ice Bowl. So that a quarter inch of ice brought the city to its knees. It was wonderful. Sometimes winter storms can be blizzards. Blizzards are characterized by strong winds blowing snow, which can cause whiteout conditions to develop, making driving especially dangerous. The extreme cold air that accompanies all winter storms, combined with strong winds, increases the risk of frostbite and hypothermia. The extreme cold air that accompanies each year the winter, hundreds of people in the United States are injured or killed by exposure to cold, vehicle accidents on wintry roads, and fires caused by the improper use of heaters. So keeping yourself and your members of your household safe during winter depends on you understanding winter storms, staying informed about conditions, and taking appropriate action. So what is an advisory? An advisory means that winter weather conditions such as freezing rain, snow, or sleet are expected, but conditions are not hazardous enough to issue a warning. You should monitor conditions and exercise caution when driving. A winter storm watch means that conditions are favorable for significant snow, sleet, or ice within the next 36 to 48 hours, but its occurrence, timing, and severity are not yet certain. A watch means that you should review your winter storm disaster plan and stay informed about weather conditions. A winter storm warning indicates that life-threatening severe weather conditions have begun or will begin within the next 24 hours. Significant and hazardous snow, sleet, or ice is imminent. A warning means you must take immediate steps to avoid serious illness or injury. Don't travel until conditions improve. Other types of watches and warnings can be issued for winter weather, including wind chill. Wind chill is when the temperature of the air feels to the human skin due to combination of low temperatures and wind gusts. Wind chill watches are issued when extremely cold air and strong winds could potentially create dangerously low wind and chill values. A wind chill warning indicates these conditions will occur. In both cases, people are at risk of frostbite and hypothermia. Always be aware that the lower the wind chill, the faster frostbite can occur. At this point, we hope that you and your household are already understand the need to take steps to prepare for a disaster. You've collected disaster supplies, or you've thought about what you might need to pull together for your disaster plan and for preparedness in general. If you or someone in your household has access or functional needs, you will need to create a personal support network, practice with them, and make sure that they understand how they will be able to assist you. Be sure you have at least a 7-day supply of prescription medicines and medical supplies with copies of prescriptions, a list of all medicines and dosages, a list of allergies, a list of dietary restrictions. If you have a service animal, be sure to include food, water, identification, tags, and supplies. Include battery backup power for power-dependent mobility devices, oxygen, and other assistive technology needs. Now we'll discuss extra steps that you can take to be ready for storms. First, there's a few things you should consider adding to your disaster kit. Shovels or other equipment to clear ice and snow, tools and other supplies for securing your home, ice melt for walkways, and snow gear. Also, make sure your car is disaster kit ready. You want a windshield scraper and a snow shovel, a small bag of sand, snow chains, or traction mats to improve tire traction in deep snow, and extra warm clothing, blankets, and hand warmers. Within your car, consider also adding bottled water and non-perishable food, an extra mobile phone battery, a flashlight with extra batteries, a battery or crank-powered weather radio, a tow rope, battery cables, a toolkit, and a compass and paper road maps. Before a winter storm, you should consider winterizing your vehicle. Have a good mechanic check your car and make sure it's in working condition. Install winter tires if you have enough significant snow in your area. Tailor your disaster plan for that you and your household know what to do during a winter storm. This includes your pets. If you don't own a form of transportation, look for how you will get to an emergency shelter or a warming center should you need one if you lose power. Plan ahead for accessible transportation so that you might need to get to a warming center location. Work with your local services, public transportation, to identify local and private accessible transportation options. Contact your local emergency management agency for a list of pet-friendly shelters. As I said earlier, most Red Cross shelters cannot accept pets because of health and safety concerns. Finally, make sure you stay informed by listening to weather radio broadcasts. If you don't have a battery-powered or hand-cranked radio, please consider getting one. You also may sign up in advance to receive emergency notifications from your local emergency services. If a winter storm is predicted, it's vital that you check and replenish disaster supplies for your household and your pets. Bring your pets indoors. Please don't leave your fur babies outside. Be sure you have ample heating fuel, secure your important documents, and continuously monitor your news for updates. If you have time, inform and help friends or neighbors that may need some assistance. Fill your vehicle's gas tank in case you need to evacuate. And confirm the closest emergency shelters and warming centers to you. During a winter storm, your goal should be to stay warm, hydrated, and nourished. The best way to do that is by staying inside. Make sure that the heating sources are properly ventilated and not blocked by snow drifts. Listen to your local news so that you can stay informed of weather conditions. If you lose power for an extended period of time during a winter storm, you may need to evacuate based on your plan. If you have a generator, be familiar with the operating instructions and take precautions to avoid carbon monoxide poisoning, electrocution, and fire. You can find additional information about generators and proper use on the American Red Cross website, and we will be sending you that link. If you must go outside, even for a few minutes, dress in layers and wear a hat and gloves. Walk carefully on icy sidewalks. Slips and falls frequently occur in winter weather and can result in painful injuries. Make sure you know the signs of frostbite and hypothermia and how to treat them. Frostbite occurs when parts of the body become so cold they begin to freeze. Frostbite usually affects fingers, toes, the nose, and earlobes. When a body becomes too cold, it may begin to show signs of frostbite. Be on the lookout for lack of feeling in the affected area, skin that appears waxy, skin that is discoloring and becoming flushed, white, gray, yellow, or blue, skin that is cold to the touch. We'll talk about later what you can do to treat frostbite. Here are some simple steps you can take to avoid it. Be aware of wind chill. Drink plenty of warm fluids, but avoid caffeine and alcohol. Stay active to maintain body heat. Limit time outside during cold temperatures. Dress appropriately. Wear layers, your hats, and your gloves. If you notice signs of frostbite, immediately move the person to a warmer place and remove any wet clothing. Be very gentle. Never rub or pop blisters on the frostbitten area. You can warm the affected area by soaking it in water that's 100 to 105 Fahrenheit until the area appears red and feels warm. Once the affected area is warm, loosely bandage that area with sterile dressings. Make sure to place a sterile gauze between the frostbitten fingers and toes to keep them separated. Most importantly, seek professional help as soon as possible and do not let the frostbitten area refreeze. Hypothermia is a serious condition that occurs when the body loses heat very rapidly and can be life or limb threatening. Be on the lookout for someone who is confused, is having trouble, difficulty speaking, can't stop shivering, is overcome with sleepiness, or has developed stiff muscles. The steps to avoiding or preventing hypothermia are the same as those for frostbite. Be aware of wind chill, drink plenty of warm fluids, avoid caffeine and alcohol, stay active to maintain body heat, limit at time outside during cold temperatures, and dress appropriately. You want your layers. Be mindful of the very young and older adults. They may have difficulty keeping warm in cool or cold conditions. If you notice any signs of hypothermia, immediately call 911 and gently move the person to a warmer place. Remove any wet clothing that the person is wearing and slowly begin to warm the person with blankets until emergency personnel arrive. Do not put a hypothermic person in a warm bath or shower, as it may warm them too quickly. If you become stranded in your car during a winter storm, stay in your vehicle and wait for help. Display a trouble sign to indicate that you need help. Hang a brightly red colored cloth at your window and raise the hood after the snow stops falling. Run the engine occasionally to keep warm. Turn on the engine for about 10 minutes each hour or 5 minutes every half hour. Running the engine for only short periods reduces the risk of carbon monoxide poisoning and conserves fuel. Use the heater while the engine is running. Keep the exhaust pipe clear of snow and slightly open a downwind window for ventilation. Do light exercises to keep up circulation. Clap your hands, move your arms and legs occasionally. Try not to stay in one position too long. If there is more than one of you, well, you can huddle together for warmth. Use newspapers, maps, even removable floor mats for added insulation. Layering items will help trap more body heat and keep you warm. Watch for signs of frostbite and hypothermia. Does anyone know why it's important not to sleep for long periods in a stranded vehicle?
One just came up, carbon monoxide.
Yes, that is a risk. The big thing is if you're not awakened periodically to increase body temperature and circulation if you're stuck in a car in a snowstorm, in a winter storm, you can freeze to death. If there's more than one person in the vehicle with you, take turns sleeping so you can wake each other up and also keep a watch out for help.
We did get another answer in the chat. You can get moisture in the vehicle.
Yes. Yep. Condensation. I mean, absolutely. And any moisture can now refreeze and just complicates the problem. Absolutely. Okay, so now we've made it through the winter storm. Now what? It's important to care for yourself, members of your household, and even friends and neighbors. Continue to take care of yourself and members of your household. Avoid driving and other travel until conditions have improved. If you must drive, use extra care and have a winter survival kit in your vehicle. Use caution when clearing snow and take frequent breaks to warm up. Heart attacks, often due to overexertion from shoveling heavy snow, are the leading cause of death during winter and are responsible for nearly 100 deaths every winter. If you lost power, check your refrigerated foods items for spoilage. If you're in doubt, throw it out. Pay attention to how you and members of your households are experiencing and handling stress. Help people who require assistance, including infants, older adults, individuals with access or functional needs, those with medical needs, and people providing personal care assistance. Be sure to stay informed by listening to your local news, your weather radio, or other information for instructions. And pay particular attention to any continuing snowfall, icing, rainfall, or flooding, because that can just complicate the issue. Before a winter storm, you can also take steps to protect and winterize your home. Prevent frozen pipes by draining pools and exterior sprinkler lines. You're going to winterize outdoor hose bibs by closing inside valves and supplying water to the house, draining the water line and leaving the outside bib valve open so that any water left inside can expand without causing the pipe to break. You're going to add insulation around any water supply lines in unheated areas like the garage, under the kitchen, and the bathroom sinks. During very cold water or weather, keep the garage door closed and cabinet doors open to keep the areas warmer. Make sure your home is properly insulated to keep the cold air out. Use caution to make sure that all heating equipment is properly ventilated and in good working condition. And remember, 3 feet from the heat. Make sure anything that could catch fire, such as furniture, curtains, dish towels, clothing, is at least 3 feet from any heat source. Always keep ample heating fuel, oil, wood, coal on hand. Make sure you have fire extinguishers, smoke alarms, carbon monoxide detectors, and they're working. Make sure you have snow removal equipment and it's in good condition. And trim or remove dead branches that are close enough to fall on buildings and that may be covering any of your vents. So we've gone through quite a bit of information. You'll be getting more information in the mail with the documents I discussed, as well as links to other resources for you. If you want more information or anything, want to know more about what the Red Cross provides, please check out redcross.org and talk to one of the volunteers like myself. We're always happy to assist. If you found today's workshop helpful, one recommendation would be to take a Red Cross first aid training class. It's never a bad idea to understand how CPR and other life-saving tactics work. And I just want to thank you so much for letting me share this hour with you, and I hope you found this information useful.
If you guys need any more services or support, you're obviously always more than welcome to reach out. The phone number for the office is 614-575-8055. Again, the phone number is 614-575-8055. Thank you everyone for your participation and your contributions throughout this whole project. And happy Friday, everyone. Enjoy. Bye.
Bye.